You're listening to Radio Azad, and this is Doubleshot Espresso with life coach Tasneem and Aisha. A very, very important topic today, and that is on boundaries. What are boundaries? Limits that we set on ourselves, or something more to that? What kind of boundaries should we have? Do they actually work? What's the best way to set these boundaries? And what's the reaction of people when we try and set these boundaries? Such important questions, life changing questions that we are going to be talking about today. How are you?
We are very well. Thank you so much. Yes, a very, very important topic. In fact, when I was driving into the studio to this morning and I was asking myself, okay, what are the boundaries in your life which still remain to be set? And I think, therefore, this is a continuous process. It's not something that is set once in stone and you live through it throughout your life across different stages and phases of life, circumstances, experiences. You grow, you evolve, and with that, so do your boundaries. It's a very fluid process. Now, having said that, you rightfully use the word, is it the limits that we set on ourselves? And while I do agree, yes, they would sound and feel and, be thought of as boundaries, as limitations or limits that we set on ourselves. But in a more holistic term, I would say it's a way that we take care of ourselves. It's a way that we avoid resentment towards ourselves and build a positive relationship not only with ourselves but with everything and everyone around us which impact our lives. So if you identify them as limits, it certainly is, but it is applied through action or communication. So sometimes it's just about the communication part of it, and obviously there are twofold step to it. There has to be some form of communication either to yourself or to another, and then there will need to be an action that is taken as a result of it. And that can be in so many ways, right? I mean, if you think back and look back, call us and tell us if you've never set any boundary anywhere, be it in expressing how you feel or addressing a problem with a colleague or a loved one, or making your expectations known to somebody else. If you are one of those who feel that नहीं मुझे तो कभी भी बाउंड्री सेट करने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है, पड़ी भी नहीं है और मैं कभी करूँगी भी नहीं, I don't believe in this, और करूँगा भी नहीं, I don't believe in this, please call us. That's a perspective I'd love to know about.
All right. And right on cue, let's see who's going to kick off the show for us. Radio Azad, you're on the air.
जी, अस्सलामुअलैकुम ब्यूटीफुल लेडीज।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम ब्यूटीफुल लेडी, कैसी हैं?
ब्यूटीफुल टॉपिक, वेरी क्या कहेंगे, बेसिक टॉपिक ऑफ ह्यूमन लाइफ, कि जहाँ तस्नीम और आयशा दोनों से सवाल करूंगी कि जब हम छोटे होते हैं तो हमें पता ही नहीं है बाउंड्रीज होती क्या है, और एस वी ग्रो तो फिर हम देखते हैं कि बहुत सारे लोग आपकी राइड लेने लगते हैं, आपका फायदा उठाते हैं, किसी तरह मैनिपुलेट करते हैं, एंड देन वी स्टार्ट रियलाइजिंग. सो हाउ वी टीच आवरसेल्व्स और आवर किड्स to set the boundaries for saying no or saying whatever they think what is right for them or stand for themselves. So ये बहुत बाउंड्री सेट करते करते इतनी देर हो जाती है कि बहुत सारे लोग उस बाउंड्रीज को क्रॉस करते हुए निकल जाते हैं आपकी. So फिर आप सोचते हैं कि यार ये क्या हो रहा है मेरे साथ और क्यों हो रहा है. So what is the करेक्ट टाइम और व्हाट इज, ठीक है हम जिंदगी में सारी पूरी जिंदगी पड़ी है करेक्शन के लिए, लेकिन क्या एज और लिमिट हो कि जो हम सिखाएं बच्चों को, और फिर अगर हम लेट हो जाते हैं देन हाउ टू विदाउट एग्रोवेटिंग, विदाउट इंसल्टिंग पीपल, हाउ कैन वी सेट दैट बाउंड्रीज. सो ये बड़ा वो सवाल है, लेकिन हम शुरू में आपकी सुनेंगे कि व्हाट आर द बाउंड्रीज एंड देन हाउ टू सेट. बट वाकई मुझे भी नहीं पता था जिंदगी में क्या होती क्या है बाउंड्रीज, एंड देन लेटर एट माय एज आई लर्न दैट. बट आई वुड से इट वाज टू लेट. सो वी विल कीप लिसनिंग एंड मे बी मैं शायद मीटिंग है मेरी, मैं चली जाऊं, लेकिन इफ आई विल गेट टाइम आई विल आस्क वन और टू मोर क्वेश्चंस. थैंक यू आयशा एंड तस्नीम.
Thank you, Shahnaz Ji. And it's a $1 million question. कि भाई कौन सा वो वक्त है, कौन सी वो रियलाइजेशन है या फेज़ या स्टेज ऑफ लाइफ है जहाँ पे हम बस ये ठान ले कि भाई ये वक्त सही है, अभी बाउंड्रीज बनानी चाहिए, और वो फिर पास ऑन भी हो जाए एज अ लेगेसी टू आवर किड्स कि भाई ऐसे करते हैं. I wish I had a question to this answer to this $1 million question, because it is a trial and error, right? It's only when you go through life and you experience certain things, and you realize certain patterns of behavior which are not working for you, which are not serving your higher purpose, uh, is when that awareness किक्स इन. एंड ये अवेयरनेस किक इन होना भी एक अपना ही वक्त लेता है, बिकॉज एज यू राइटफुली सेड शहनाज जी कि कभी कभी इतना अरसा गुजर जाता है टिल यू रियलाइज कि यार ये मेरे लाइफ में पैटर्न ऑफ बिहेवियर हो गया है, पैटर्न ऑफ आउटकम हो गया है, मुझे उसके बारे में कुछ करना चाहिए. सो आई फील योर टू द आंसर टू योर क्वेश्चन विल बी, how do we teach our children awareness? How do we teach ourselves awareness? Because I feel when we live a life of mindfulness and awareness, that's when the awareness to set boundaries will set in earlier, and that can be then taught as well to the younger ones.
I think it's very interesting, this question, because we as Desi parents don't have boundaries with our kids, right? We will barge into their rooms. There's no concept of their space, their time, their thoughts, until it's too late and they start rebelling. And they're like, we are we are adults, or we are young adults, or we have our own taste buds also. And I think that's a very interesting dynamic then, when we try and set those boundaries, when we ourselves don't engage in that. Let's see what our caller has to say. Radio Azad, you're on the air.
Assalamu alaikum, Ayesha and Tasneem.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Just fine. आप लोग का नया तरीका जो थीम सॉन्ग का है ना, वो बड़ा अच्छा है.
Thank
It's
you.
more uplifting and more hip, you can say. कभी मैं आपसे जरूर सवाल करूंगी और आप लोग अपने सहूलत से जवाब दीजिएगा कि आप लोगों ने ये गाना डुप्लीकेट का क्यों चुना.
Oh, that's a good question.
अपने प्रोग्राम के लिए ये अलग टॉपिक है, मगर ये कि why did you choose this specific song? Because it's so beautiful, uplifting, lot of meaning in my life, this song, there is a reason why I'm asking you. Anyway, उसके अलावा बाउंड्रीज यानी दायरे, उनका कनेक्शन बैलेंस से बहुत होता है. Both are interconnected, B&B, bed and breakfast. But मैं जैसे जैसे बड़ी हो रही थी ना, बचपन में तो बिल्कुल खुली फीलिंग होती है, बटरफ्लाई की तरह, ना किसी से शिकवा ना शिकायत, बस चले जाते हैं. और मेरे मिजाज में बेसिकली खिदमत गुजारी बहुत है. आई लाइक टू डू थिंग्स फॉर पीपल एंड आई लाइक द लव विच आई रिसीव्ड. सो कोई स्पेसिफिक एज नहीं थी, मगर टाइम जैसा गुजरता गया और अपने आप से इसेंशियल लाइफ डिसीजंस बनाने का टाइम आ गया, वो गाइड था मेरा बाउंड्री सेट करने का. तो मैं कहूंगी मेरे लिए रियलिटी चेक, सेल्फ अवेयरनेस, अपने आप को शनाख्त करना, आइडेंटिटी, और उसके थ्रू हेल्दी रिलेशनशिप्स बिल्ड करना, अपने लिए भी और अपने अतराफ के लिए भी. आई डिडंट वांट टू बी एंग्री एंड फ्रस्ट्रेटेड एंड जस्ट कीप ऑन डूइंग एंड जस्ट बीइंग वेरी सैक्रिफाइसिंग. एट द सेम टाइम आई वांटेड टू बिल्ड माय ओन कैरेक्टर, और अपनी फैमिली के लिए भी मैं आसानी और सहूलत मांगती थी. तो उसलिए मैं अपने लिए बाउंड्री सेट कर रही हूँ जैसे जैसे टाइम गुजरा है. बचपन में अलग, टीनेज में अलग, जवान एकदम कंप्लीट यूथ में अलग, अर्ली मैरिज एज में अलग, एंड देन ऑनवर्ड्स प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में अलग. आप देखेंगे सारी कंट्रीज की भी तो बाउंड्रीज होते हैं. हमारी अपनी बॉडी की भी बाउंड्री हमारी जिल्द है, स्किन, इट्स प्रोटेक्टिंग अस फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड एटमॉस्फेयर. तो उस तरह से बाउंड्रीज यानी दायरे और बैलेंस रखना बहुत जरूरी है. और जैसा जैसा टाइम गुजरा और जैसे जैसे जिंदगी के एक्सपीरियंसेस बढ़े, मैंने समझा यहाँ मैंने हर एस्पेक्ट में ये इनविजिबल एंड विजिबल लाइंस क्रिएट करना है थ्रू इफेक्टिव कम्युनिकेशन and through building positive relationships and then taking action. And I have done it in such a way, Allah ka shukr se, I know कई लोग ऐसा फील करते हैं कि अरे पहले तो तुम इतना करती थी, अब नहीं करती हो, मगर सबके साथ राब्ता रहा, कोई भी ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि राब्ता टूटा. सो इट इज अ स्टेप बाय स्टेप process. There is no specific age, but realizing is very important to build it. ये
Yep.
था मेरा
I love it.
स्टार्टिंग. आप लोग का जो प्रोग्राम है अब सुनती हूँ. टेक केयर बोथ ऑफ यू. थैंक यू.
Radio Azad, you're on the air.
जी तस्नीम, अभी आपने एक पॉइंट जो दिया, आयशा ने बल्कि सॉरी, कि हम अपने बच्चों के कमरों में, व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन प्राइवेसी and setting your boundaries where nobody
Great
would
question.
cross that. और कितना इसके बारे में तस्नीम हमें ये भी बताएं कि कितना फर्म रहना पड़ता है कि, और क्या बॉडी लैंग्वेज, क्या आपका रवैया होना चाहिए कि पीपल विल थिंक अबाउट इट, नॉट टू क्रॉस दैट. क्योंकि मैं अपना थोड़ा सा बताऊंगी कि व्हेन आई वाज वेरी एट माय अर्ली एज आई लॉस्ट माय फादर एंड आफ्टर दैट वी हैड gone through difficulties. वहां पे फैमिली सर्वाइवल का मसला होता है, टुगेदरनेस होती है. लेकिन जब हम मिडिल बच्चे होते हैं, सो वी स्टार्ट लिसनिंग टू द एल्डर वंस एंड ट्राइंग टू कॉम्प्रोमाइज विद एवरीथिंग. सो वी लॉस्ट दैट फील्ड ऑफ आवर बाउंड्री कि कहाँ क्या करना है. एंड ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम सर्वाइवल स्ट्रगल, और उसमें फिर हम अपने आप को भूल जाते हैं. सो तस्नीम एंड आयशा, जस्ट हमें ये चीज की भी पॉइंट्स दें ताकि हम अवेयर और हो सकें.
Perfect. Thank you. I really like what SKFG had to say when she said it's about building positive relationships, right? And she had this realization. Um, do you think, as they see women, and I'm going to stress on women who have this whole self sacrificing culture, a patriarchal culture, but self sacrificing culture, do you think ये concept of boundaries है या नहीं है?
नहीं है. I mean, I think नहीं है, for sure नहीं है. And that's why we spoke like realization, awareness जी को हम कि हमने जो बातें की है, that is pivotal, which with anything, to be honest, but over here as well, because culturally as well in this case, we are not brought up to believe that it is good to have boundaries. It is considered a bad trait. It is considered borderline arrogant. That वो तो बहुत ही अपने बारे में सोचती है. There are how many clients that I have worked with where when I have when we are talking about setting boundaries, they the immediate question is, oh, isn't that selfish? But so a lot of times when you're setting boundaries because of your upbringing or culture or family, whatever they've been used to, you may mistake that as being selfish. But in fact, it is self-care. Setting boundaries is self-care. It is not selfish.
Okay, let's do give us a call back. 9725019390 is a studio number. Setting boundaries is self-care, not selfish. I think also protection is a key an analogy that came in, like SKFG said. Our skin is there to protect us. The countries have borders to protect themselves as well. So similarly, we protect our mental health, our well-being. We improve our relationships and increase our productivity. I think for me, having that boundary helps to give me sukoon so I can focus.
Yeah. And you can have more time to, as you rightfully said, be more productive, to be you. To get in touch with your authenticity. Initially it may seem difficult to people who have never set boundaries. It may seem like, oh, this is out of character, this seems different, this is selfish, this is just I, me, myself kind of a thing. But as you practice it more and more, you realize how much better you can take care of yourself and others. Your relationships improve, your productivity improves, and your well-being just feels so much better.
Yeah. So, Tasneem, what kinds of boundaries do we need to establish?
Now, there are I think 6 or 7 different types of boundaries or categories that we can set boundaries in. Just like to lightheartedly but yet seriously begin with this boundary, which is our online boundary.
Mm.
With today's time and age, where we are fed so much information. In fact, nothing that you see on your feed is by choice. It is actually the algorithm working towards what you've spoken, because your phone is always listening towards even one little search that, or literally how many seconds you pause at a post.
Mhm.
It can actually pick that up and then realize, okay, she paused at this post for that much longer, so she likes to see this kind of content.
Mm.
um,
I am convinced it also reads our mind.
yeah, sometimes doesn't it happen? Like, I'm
Yes.
thinking of something and then I'll start seeing that, I'm like, whoa, what is happening here?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel that we need to set those boundaries as to how much time you will spend on the net, what kind of surfing you're doing, what kind of information you're going to take in, what are your boundaries with regards to who you listen to, how you listen to them. Like, are you just absorbing and just making them your belief system, or are you just absorbing it with an open mind, just looking at it as a different perspective? All of these things is something we need to think about. I have seen so many parties where people actually start having full blown arguments about, politics or
Mm.
religion or things that they've heard, leaders, country leaders. And I'm like, come on, guys. I mean, what are we fighting about?
Yeah. All right. Let's take a caller. Radio Azad, you're on the air.
Hello, ladies. How you?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, you both doing?
Good.
Uh,
Good.
Very nice topic as always.
Thank
मेरे
you.
को सिर्फ यही बोलना है कि हम लोग जो बाउंड्री सेट करते हैं, पहले हमें पेरेंट्स को पता होना चाहिए कि कहाँ तक लिमिट है और कहाँ तक नहीं है.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need parents need themselves class first in order to go beyond and above. Like for example, yes, the 6-year-olds need to be checked out how many times, and the 12 years old when he have hormone activities going on, when to give a privacy, when to do what. वो चीज हम लोगों को सिखाई नहीं है.
Mm-hmm.
ठीक है, तो हम जो हेलीकॉप्टर पेरेंट्स बन जाते हैं, हम लोग नहीं रात को नहीं जाना, ये नहीं करना, वो, क्योंकि हम लोगों को जो सोसाइटी ने सिखाया हम उसको कीप रिपीटिंग करते आ रहे हैं. कॉन्टिनेंट चेंज हो गया, कोई नहीं, हम लोग फिर भी वही अपनी ही चलाते हैं. वी डू नॉट लिसन के बाहर सराउंडिंग में क्या हो रहा है, नहीं मेरे घर में ऐसा है, मैं नहीं चेंज होंगी. सो दोज काइंड ऑफ थिंग पेरेंट्स नीड themselves very much need to change and accept the society.
Mm-hmm.
But the kids go through outside in a society, and what is our house boundaries are, like what we living in an environment that have to collaborate together.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, and then we need to understand that generation gap also, like our in-laws live with us, so we cannot change them.
Mm-hmm.
But we can make understand the kids, hey, if grandpa come to your room and asking something, excuse him, because he's older person, he's not checking on you, he just simply needed help and he came without knocking, excuse him.
Mm-hmm. So we did a wonderful show on adult children living at home. It's there on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, all these podcast sites. Please do listen to that, and I highly encourage our listeners. It is one of our most popular podcasts, and gives so much insight into this whole topic as well. I think goes
Okay.
very, very side by side. Yeah.
Okay, Aisha, I will definitely look into that. I will listen to it and I will give my feedback.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This is such an important and great point, because the boundary we set for our 6-year-old cannot be the same boundary that's there for our 12-year-old, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. What other types of boundaries do we need to set? So, social media is a big, big, big one. And I think today on NPR, when I was driving in, they talked about how some schools are blocking social media during school hours. And they're saying they've seen such a dramatic sort of increase in their mental focus.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because those distractions, that bullying, are just not there. So that cell phone use, and you're blocking all the social media, is really, really increasing the kids' mental health and productivity.
Imagine, yes, and I mean, we used to function right in a time and age when there was none of all of this.
Yeah. And we
And
talked.
exactly, we communicated. So I think we really need a healthy balance over there at an urgent level. The
Okay.
next one I feel that is important, and I think you and I will both relate to that, is emotional boundaries. Um, protecting your just how you feel, things that you're sensitive about. And we did a show on it, or did you and I talk about it? I cannot recall that.
Yeah.
But we did talk about how people just ask you random questions, like, can I ask you a personal question? And then they ask, and then you feel compelled to answer because they've asked. Or you've not thought of a proper comeback, so you end up saying the truth, if that's the kind of personality that you usually have, to say the truth. So I feel that you can just say that I'm really not comfortable discussing that, or really, can we talk about this later, not right now. And it's absolutely okay to have those boundaries, where if there are certain things that affect you emotionally, it could be anything at all, something that the other person might find very trivial, it is still okay to set a boundary there.
And I really want to stress, not every question requires an answer, because as we've done a show on this, intrusive questions,
Yes,
right?
yes, that's when we did it.
People ask all sorts of rubbish and make all sorts of statements which they have no idea about. They don't know the truth. It doesn't require an answer or any justification at all. They are just being nosy, or they don't have anything better to do. So that doesn't mean that you have nothing better to do, or you don't need to answer anybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then another one which ties very closely to this is your material boundaries as well. Things like your things, your belongings, physical space as well. Like, for example, I've seen this culturally, which is different. It's like when you go back home, India, Pakistan, I don't know if you all have the same, but it's very okay to just walk into somebody's bedroom and, sit and have a chat there. Like, there's nothing. But over here, people are very, at least they have that boundary कि किसी के bedroom में ऐ भी नहीं घुस सकते हैं. Unless you are called
Yeah.
there or you're invited, you're really close. I would only have those people in my bedroom who I'm really, really close with. I wouldn't want any random person to be walking into my bedroom. So those kind of boundaries, again, but see the cultural underlayer to it, because I know back home, especially in my house itself, it's just an open house for everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe because घर भी छोटे होते हैं in comparison, तो वो space सारी ही utilize होती है.
इनफैक्ट हमारे फ्रेंड्स को हम अपने कमरे में ले जाके
Yes.
वी यूज्ड टू टॉक टू देम देयर, राइट?
सो वो वाली, या वर्क स्पेस में कभी कभी लोग आपके क्यूबिकल में आके, या आपकी स्पेस यूज कर रहे हैं, या आपका कंप्यूटर यूज कर रहे हैं, या पैसे के मामले में कितनी दफा हमने देखा है कि पीपल फाइंड जस्ट you're just used to their paying, so then they will pay all the time. But then there has to be set a boundary, right? Okay, maybe you are more, you can afford it better, or whatever it is, but that doesn't mean that you are the ones who will need to pay all the time, every time.
Yeah. I also feel like personal space, those close talkers,
Yes.
oh my god, those, you need to kind of really watch yourself. And then people who touch you just for no reason, or
Yeah.
they'll come and hug you. It's like, no, I don't know you.
Yeah, in fact, very recently, I'm a hugger, right? So in masjid, I remember.
No, you're a crusher.
I'm a hugger crusher. That's a new one. So I'm in masjid, I'm obviously the same person. So I was like, I'm happily hugging everyone. So there was this one, she's a young girl, she's in her late 20s. And she said, if you don't mind, I don't like to hug.
Okay.
And I was really taken aback, because for a moment I was offended.
Okay.
But then I said, no, that's her boundary, and she set it. And then I have this, because of maybe my professional upbringing, where, work-wise, where everybody, used to call love, sweetheart, hey sweetie, hey baby, hey love. So that's a lot in my way of talking as well. So again, in masjid, I used to call this one, the same girl actually. I used to say, hey, babe or baby. And she's like, I'm not a baby, I'm a mother of two.
Oh.
So she took offense that I was
Same
calling
girl.
her. Yes. So I was like, okay, I'm really getting it wrong with her. I have to be really careful. So, not everybody likes these words of endearment either, which for me, I really like you, so I call you that. But sometimes you got to respect people's boundaries.
It's the Me Too era, Tasneem. Get with it.
Imagine that.
Yeah, but that's exactly how it is. And a lot of people who use, especially people of the opposite gender, they are used to these kinds of things, but they don't realize how it's actually taken. So I'm on her side.
See?
Yeah.
Imagine. And the thing is, when you're so used to being a certain kind of you, you take other people's boundaries as offense. And that's again an awareness for you to grow as a person. Of course, now with all the professional stuff that I do, it took me like a few seconds to snap out of it. But many other people would have not liked that person here on, would have not want to interact with her from there on. But I mean, you need to be wiser and more mature about these things.
Okay, we're talking about types of important boundaries that need to be set.
And I think one more over there is your intellectual boundaries, in the sense of how you relate to thoughts, ideas, and belief systems. Are you comfortable discussing topics like religion and politics? Or you may want to set boundaries over there कि भाई ये चीजें हमें नहीं बात करनी है. Again, talking of personal experience, there are many times where, this we've always really taken pride in our friendship. But have you gone to circles where India Pakistan becomes a very heated debate? And I feel like it has never been in the people that there is any kind of dislike or hate. It's just a political situation that we are having to grapple with, and inshallah that rides over soon, one day, someday. But at least amongst us, then those are the boundaries I set. If somebody is going that way, then I need to get up and leave, or I need to say something and change the topic. But those are the boundaries, intellectual boundaries, on what you believe in, what your ideas are, what your thoughts are.
That's a great point. But the thing is, we've never discussed politics and we've never discussed cricket.
Yeah, but that's because of our mutual love and respect for each other.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, when India is won, and I think even on the Radio Azad group, there's always been congratulatory messages that, hey, congrats India. When Pakistan's won, so has it been the same.
The rare moments.
And the point being that, I mean, there is competition, and of course it's in a junooni ek wo match ho jati hai. But at the same way, after the match is over, you let rationale rule the day, right?
It's about respect, and that's what I love about our group, actually, because those congratulatory messages go back and forth. Eid and Diwali and other festivals and things like that. That respect, mutual respect, is there, and I absolutely love that.
Absolutely, me too. And I feel we should see more of it, because I have been in settings where those get really ugly and friends start, kind of slugging mud on each other in the name of jokes. And I feel that that's not funny. I mean, who's laughing besides you? And I always tell everyone, a joke, two people need to laugh. You, because you cracked the joke, and the opposite person to who you're sharing the joke with. If one of them is not finding it funny, then buddy, it's not funny.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving on. Then the last one, and very, very important in light of everything that's happening of late, and more recently the Kolkata rape case as well, sexual boundaries. As across the world, globally, I think this boundary is an important one. It's important to educate ourselves on consent and what it sounds like, and adhere to it, and have stricter consequences for anyone who breaches that.
Yes, and including marital boundaries as well.
Absolutely.
Extremely, extremely important. All right, we are going to continue with our topic on boundaries. Lots more coming up. Do download the Radio Azad iPhone or Android app to tune in to our live shows.